Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. You are about to join a frequency that will open your mind, expand your heart, and activate your spirit. Thank you for joining Kelly Meehan, Spirit Baby Medium and Master Energy Therapist. Kelly believes in the power of the Spirit Baby. She speaks with babies in spirit before life, in the womb, and after life. She supports, teaches, and guides others to tune into the intuitive and mystical parts of life for greater wisdom. Join her in meeting your soul baby and build your connection and relationship with deep love and trust. Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio with your host, Spirit Baby Medium, Kelly.
Welcome to episode 66. Wow. July 26, 2019. An invitation of twins, siblings being born together. How do you welcome multiples into your life? What kind of pregnancy is it? What does it mean when siblings want to be born together? What's the difference between IVF twins and natural twins? I've done an episode, I feel like a long time ago, probably in the first 10 episodes, I said, welcome to episode 66. Whoa. I feel like, wow, we're getting really up there, which is really great. I feel like the topics are really limitless when it comes to this energetic spirit baby world, and there's so much to expand and explore. I feel like, just talking about twins, again, I've shared about twins a long time ago, and I'm like, wow, how can there only be one episode about twins? Because twins is, I always feel like we think that maybe twin births are not that common, multiple births they call it. But it actually, when I started doing a little bit more research on Google, it said it wasn't that uncommon, which then makes me curious. Maybe there's more twins out there that I don't even know. But I feel like everybody knows at least one or more than one twin, so maybe it is become more common, not just because of IVF, but there are twins that come without IVF as well. But I do want to define for a moment here, what does it mean by twins? I got here from online, of course. To form identical or monozygotic twins, one fertilized egg ovum splits and develops into two babies with exactly the same genetic information. To form fraternal or dizygotic twins, two eggs are fertilized by two sperm and produce two genetically unique children. I love that. So what happens, the ovum, right, it could split. What's that about? Who knows? It splits, and then two babies are born together, sharing a placenta, which we know identical twins. Maybe there is a rarity with identical. I'm not really sure either about that. I feel like it's hard to know where the right data comes from. But I do know many fraternal twins, which is now, right, two whole eggs, two different sperm. It sounds like a lot of work, where there's two separate placentas, and usually with a dizygotic or fraternal twin, of course, they don't have to be the same gender. They can be, they have to be either a boy or girl, or boy and boy, which we know with one egg that splits, that's the same kind of baby almost, but not really. And so in that split, it has to be the same gender. I'm sure under some rare cases, maybe it's not, but as far as I know, and as far as science shares, is that it's usually the same gender. And those are the twins we see that look a lot alike. And I did more Googling just to get more kind of connection with the twin energy. I feel like twinergy is what I call it. Twinergy is always changing. And one of the things I got here it's actually from huggies.com, AU. Are twins common? I guess that's a big question that people ask. Here's what they said. Many reproductive experts believe that as humans, we probably have more twin pregnancies than any of us are aware of. Technological advances have found that it is reasonably common for there to be more than one embryo conceived and implanted, but of these, only one is viable and survives. So interesting, right? I believe they call that the visible twin. There was a name for it, and I remember connecting with a chiropractor, I would say, 15 years ago, who said to me, could I be a twin? And I thought that was interesting, that it's how common it is to have a twin pregnancy, and then maybe the other possibility, the twin dies off early on. So sometimes it's never detected. And you even have to think about history and technology, that there was no maybe blood tests a long time ago, and there wasn't sonograms. I feel like it is kind of a newer technology, but even those can miss twins as well, because things are so, in the beginning phases, it's so hard to detect and see those things. But a lot of women, a lot of men, a lot of people, they tune in to the energy that they feel around them, and they connect with that, and that is really important. There are different ways to boost for twins, and I wondered about reading these lists. Some of them, like, okay, there's nothing that bizarre, a little bit, but like, let's say you feel connected to twins, and I know I've connected with a lot of different women and couples around the world that question their connection of twins and what is their twin spirit baby communication look like, because not that it looks any different than a regular spirit baby communication practice, but it is different because there's two energies now. There's two energies that are calling, that are wanting their voices to be heard. And so then I always say that when you're with a solo, one being pregnancy, it's like one soul and two bodies. So I suppose on triplet level there, or multiple triplet, well, I'm jumping ahead there. Well, there are triplets, that's a possibility. And so a multiple level of two, so that it would be two souls in one body. So how do you boost for twins? I want to talk about this. I wish I was so curious to hear what other people think about this. But I guess if you feel like you're connected to twins, and something to look at, something to hold space for, and I'm going to go more into the spiritual connection of twins in a moment. But I took this off of that same website here, and it's in quotes here. The fertility spike also influenced by a surge of estrogen. So fertility research has proven that twin pregnancies are much more common in women who are over 35. But it's interesting because I read another article that said women that have twins are usually younger, under 35. And so, but I've heard, throughout the years that, our estrogen changes. It boosts, and some women, our bodies are preparing for menopause. Some are just getting surges. So there's something about estrogen that plays a big role in ovulating, that plays a big role in the hormone of releasing an egg or splitting an egg, right? And so if you're over 35, maybe get a little nervous or excited. You got to see which one feels the best. Another way to boost for twins is using fertility assistance such as IVF, or taking fertility drugs. Those fertility drugs stimulate the ovaries and produce more follicles, and so sometimes that can release in more than one egg being released. Another way to boost for twins, they say sometimes your culture, your heritage has something to do with that if you're born into a certain race. Many of the things I was researching said African American specifically have higher rates of twin. Also, another one here, having been pregnant before, and women who have had babies have a higher chance of conceiving twins. So I guess if you've had pregnancy before, that your rates are higher. And having children already. And another boost here is getting pregnant while you're on the pill, which I thought was interesting. It says, difficult as this can be, overall there's a higher incidence of women conceiving with twins when they're on oral contraceptives. I don't have much details about that, but it makes me curious because you think the pill shuts you down to not get pregnant. But of course also the pill is messing with your hormones to try to fake, not be pregnant or whatever it's stimulating and doing. Everybody's body is so different, so I'm sure that is a possibility. Another way to boost twin is folic acid supplement. I'm not sure, I've heard of women talking about different kinds of folic acid. I'm not really sure which ones, but I thought that was interesting. And being heavier. I saw this in a lot of the different articles I was looking at. Being heavier than lighter. So your higher body mass index. Some researchers claim that a woman with a BMI of greater than 30 boosts her chances. But considering a healthy range during the fertile years is 20 to 25, and 30 would be into the overweight category, and it's not a healthy recommendation. I guess they're getting scared by saying that maybe if you have more fat, right, you have more fat on your body, that your body is going to be able to feel safer with carrying twins and feel hardy and sturdy, and whatever that hormone is being produced. Another one here, boosting fertility, and this I was like, is this real or not? I don't know, but I thought it was fun to share, is encourage your partner to eat oysters. The urban myth about oysters being an aphrodisiac is not entirely without basis. Oysters are high in zinc, and this helps with sperm production. The more healthy and mobile his sperm are, the greater the likelihood of being able to fertilize an egg or two. If he's been keen to take supplements, the recommendation for men in their fertility years is 4 milligrams a day. Green leafy vegetables, cereals, bread, seeds, wheat germ are excellent sources of zinc. So maybe getting your partner, or maybe knowing where that sperm, if you're doing it through sperm donation, right? Sperm adoption. No one calls it sperm adoption, but I do. Kind of adopting it, kind of receiving it if you don't have a partner, or you're doing it in that way that you need to. You could have a partner, and maybe their sperm just isn't strong enough for your own ability to create. And so there, I guess, is one way to boost the sperm, to help them swim and be effective and strong. Another one I got here, the final one I got, which I thought was kind of interesting too, was eating yams and sweet potatoes. And I wonder if there are women that go, oh my gosh, like I want to get pregnant, I'm going to start eating those yams and sweet potatoes. I mean, not my favorite food. I don't know. But I guess if you're wanting to boost your curiosity around twin pregnancy, multiple pregnancy. And so I used the words earlier. I was saying, what's the difference between IVF twins, natural twins? That's kind of a term I've come up with because I do feel like it is different ways to conceive, right? Because as we know, IVF is more invasive. It is more of a technology that can be very intense for some women, and other times, maybe not so intense. And so when I use the term natural twins, I'm referring to women that just have twins naturally, and they're not using any type of synthetic or any hormone or going through any process. And, they're really, I want to say, spiritually, the spirit of a child. There is no difference between natural twins and IVF twins. Of course, physiologically and biologically, that's a different connection. And because in this earth world, the physiology of creating, conception will tell more of the future through genetic connections and awareness. But now I feel like even just understanding genetic information from the layman, the lay's term, whatever that word, layman, lame term, lay's term. Well, for people like me that don't know a lot about genetic stuff, or I should say I'm not super schooled besides Bruce Lipton, which I like how he shares his genetic information because he brings it down to a level for the commoners, I should say, to understand it instead of having to go to school and become a geneticist to understand what that is all about. And so, spiritually, there is not a lot of stuff around that, I feel, because I've had babies throughout the many years tell me if they were going to be born by IVF or if they preferred that because that was the only way they were going to come through the physical body. And so I do feel like there is something to this IVF technology that's happening and what it's creating and how the people are. And of course, again, I don't know any big studies that have been going around about what is the likelihood of IVF adults and into their own, creating their own family and what does that look like. I'm sure there's information on that. I do know that I did research is that IVF twins tend to have a higher rate of not making it as opposed to natural twins. And the reason for that is probably because a lot of IVF, maybe physiologically, it's a hard job to carry twins. And the body may not be fully prepared for that conception in that way. And so I feel like this is why they do a lot of transfers that are more than one embryo, right? And some of those embryos take. I knew a woman who had triplets, 3 red-haired triplets. And they all decided that her body could hold these babies, these amazing 3 girls. And I've never met anybody that's had triplets through IVF besides her. And then I actually met natural triplets that were 3. It's so interesting. I was like, how many triplets do we meet in the world? I don't know. Not that many people's are, I don't feel like many people's goal is to have triplets, but it happens. It does happen, and there is something special about twins, about triplets, and, maybe even more than that. We do know that in the media there are people that have more babies, but we do know that is with the support of technology. and how does spirit baby world work with twins? And like I said, it's, it's very, unique to you. There's not like it works one way or another. And I do feel like, as I've seen twins, many twins, sometimes they want to be born apart and sometimes they come together, and sometimes it's hard to share that information, to know the truth of it. And I know a woman who, we talked to a boy and a girl for a long time. She did conceive she did conceive twins, but they didn't make it. And she had a miscarriage. And then the twins, the boy and a girl, they actually came separate within a year or two apart, which was very fascinating. This woman was very committed to her twinergy and connecting with these baby beings because she felt it. And I tell people in conception and pregnancy, your twins will come to you if they're meant to come to you and you're meant to hold it, because what I've learned from science is the uterus can only expand so much. And everybody has such different bodies, and who knows like how much, and this is why a lot of times twins are born early, and it's very hard because sometimes one twin doesn't make it, sometimes both twins don't make it. And so there's such, I feel like, deep preparation around the physical body, like can your heaviness in your body and how the hormones producing really expand, because it's really about the uterus being able to expand to a certain level to hold the baby beings. And so sometimes twins are born, again, together or separate, or I call Irish twins. Sometimes they're born very close. But also twin energy can be born years apart. It doesn't have to be one after another, but sometimes it is one after another. And I'm thinking, I probably shared these stories before in the other podcast. I'm not really sure, it was such a long time ago with the Twinergy one. But I remember one time I met a couple. They were two girls at this kind of event, and they were probably a few years apart, but they were so twin-like to me. But they were full-on 20-year-old adults. And I looked at the one and I said, you guys are so twin-like. What is this about? And I made a comment saying, well, I wonder if you were like connected to her and you guys were twins and you were trying to figure out who was going to be born. And the one girl started crying. I was like, oh gosh, what is she crying? Because it felt so true to her. She always felt that way. And it's so interesting that if they had some pre-birth memories, that they can go behind the scenes to see what it was like when they were picking and choosing their siblings. And maybe there's more information about that. I'm not sure. I'm in the middle of reading a really great book called Babies Are Cosmic Signs of Their Secret Intelligence by Elizabeth Carmen and Neil Carmen, and hopefully I'll be able to have them on a future podcast. But there's such great stories in there about babies. I'm sure there's got to be a twin story in there somewhere. Again, I haven't finished reading it. But it's just, just a reminder to see what is this twin connection and how is it being built. And I had a friend I remember who, even with miscarriage, I had a friend who had a miscarriage, and then, she was just so devastated. It was really hard. She had to grieve. And then after that, she became pregnant with twins naturally, which was such a shock. But I thought that was interesting because it's like the baby was coming, but then was like, wait a minute. Nope, I need to come with my sister. And so the boy and girl needed to be born together. Trying to think of another story. I wonder if that was, I knew a woman who, I'm trying to recall if she actually did, this is kind of a sad story, but she did go through IVF and had twin girls, and it was very exciting. But one of the twins, they were born too early. One of the twins didn't make it, and there's so much energy around that even. But some would even say, oh, the vanishing twin. I think I called it the invisible twin before, but the vanishing twin, like this is not a vanishing twin story, but they say many of us are born as twins and then come into the world feeling like something's missing, or where's this other piece? Or sometimes people's parents don't tell them there was another twin, because we always think, well, maybe if you're giving birth that both babies have to be born. And most of the time that happens, but I hear on rare occasions that one baby can remain and the other baby, is miscarried. Again, I'm sure I've heard of stuff like that happening, but I don't have any personal stories around that, because it is really hard when I've seen women like coming into pregnancy and they're going, there's always a weaker and a more stronger twin. I don't know what that is, but it's something to be looked at. And I remember with this one woman who, she was really feeling that connection, really knowing that this one weaker energy was the girl energy for some reason. And she was doing a lot of spiritual work around it, really making sure she was connecting and talking and really allowing her connection to just continue. And not that she was begging them to be born as she wanted them, but she was just really centered on what she felt in her heart and connecting to their strong spirits and knowing, what it looked like for them to be a part of her and to be born in a certain way. And of course, we know twins will be born in different ways. A lot of our culture does want to do cesarean because it is considered a high-risk pregnancy, of course, and you don't know. And this is where you practice trusting in pregnancy, connecting with intuition during pregnancy, and seeing, is my birth, do I have to go this way into a cesarean birth, or do I have, or is my option a natural vaginal birth? And again, I'm a lot in the home birth community, and I do see a lot in the home birth community have home births that are twins. And there are special, unique doctors that are highly skilled and trained in that kind of birth. Because you have to know how to deliver a breech. You have to know if the baby's turning. You have to be very intuitive, very expert, very on it. And so there's so many different ways that, twins can be born. And, there's no right or wrong way for them to be born, but it's just a part of the process of birthing twins. And so many always ask me, will my baby come as a twin or not? And I can't say I always have those answers. I wish I did. And sometimes things feel very strong. And I want to say that if you're somebody that is really tuned in going, I know there's a twin, or maybe you feel more than one spirit baby energies with you, that you feel that they're siblings and you know that siblings is going to happen. What do? I recommend creating some kind of altar. Create your twin altar. And what does that mean to have a twin altar? A twin altar has everything of twos in it. 2 goddesses, 2 babies, 2 flowers, 2 crystals. However it is you want to create that altar. 2 things of baby stuff. Maybe you feel 2 boys. Maybe you feel 2 girls. Maybe you feel boy and a girl. Put an altar in your little corner space, in a little windowsill, in even a little box somewhere, wherever it is. And talk to those baby energies. Invite that in. Create a meditation around it. How do you open to twin energy, and how are you allowing that to move through you, that you are receiving through your right hand, your left hand as though you're holding them out, that you're receiving and pulling that energy down into your womb space, from your right hand down, left into your womb space, and breathing with that, and saying that I'm here to bow down to be a host to these beings that I feel are connecting and communicating with me. Even creating and going into a meditation that allows you to build a soul contract. What does your contract look like, and how are you signing it up? And is this really the best connection to have? Do you feel in your heart the truth and the energy of twins? And again, I always feel like twins come to those that can handle it. And they're not just going to come unless they know it's the timing and the alignment of something. And I know, because some people get nervous. They go, gosh, can I do it? Do I know how to do it? Can I hold that space and energy to have 2? And yes, you can, even with IVF. I do feel like sometimes when women are going through IVF and they're asking for 1 embryo, I do feel like energetic. Sometimes there need to be 2 embryos, even if there's 1 embryo that survives, right, or that makes it, or that that soul connects with. I do feel like sometimes baby needs multiple energies to prime and prep up not just the energy system and the physiology of hormones, but to just prepare the space for baby energy. There's something that feels right sometimes energetically about more than 1 embryo, and other times 1 embryo feels maybe the most aligned. And so if you are somebody that's moving more into the twins through IVF, really kind of sitting with your heart space, opening up, seeing what kind of energy and colors and shapes and things come into your heart space. What can you ask your babies in the spirit space? What do your spirit babies want to talk to you about, especially if they're siblings? Maybe there's things that you want to discuss. Maybe there's things that you feel. And also, again, opening, creating that opening, receiving, as I said earlier, breathing with your body, and creating whatever that agreement looks like, and coming back to it. Again, really just indulging yourself in multiple energy. Because again, I've met people that feel very connected to twins, but they're like, where is this twin? They need to show up. And so I do feel like we can really put the call out, and that could take some time to create that space, that you're building a twin foundation, and that your spirit babies have twinergy. Ask your spirit babies to work together. Ask them to figure out how they can come together into your body, into this lifetime, and that you're ready for it, and that you are welcoming it, and that you are fully present for it, and that you know how to let go and surrender to it. I feel like the recipe for building your twinergy is very unique to you, but I do feel like you can create that foundation. And, you know, a pregnancy with twins is very unique. I do feel like when women come and they are in multiple births, I tell them to join groups, whether physically in person, whether online, join multiple pregnancy groups because it's very helpful. We need a tribe when it comes to that kind of unique pregnancy, that you need support, and that support is valuable because twins is so magical. You see twins everywhere. You see little twin babies, little twin kids. I love it. My friend has twins, a boy and a girl, and I love it. I'm like, always like, oh, and they're 8 years old now, and they started to sleep together in the same bed, which I think is so sweet, because it's like they need each other. They're healing for each other. Even when they were not feeling well, they were going through a cough at one time. It's like they need each other. We need like a body connection with people, and twins have something very special. I grew up with friends, my older brother's best friends were twins. And they were very different looking though. They were very fraternal for sure. And, you know, they had like this telepathic thing. It's like they know where their sentences begin and end. And you hear this a lot with twins. That's why some twins can be born not together, that they have a deeper bond and connection. And it's quite fascinating. Just imagine for a moment that a twin pregnancy, these beings are sharing a space in the womb together, that they are coming from this portal of light into the womb, whether they're upside down, whether they're breech, whether they're on the right or the left side, and how it's probably changing all the time for the pregnant woman. And there's so much energy involved in that. And to pay attention to that and to be able to sit in meditation with that multiple pregnancy birth there, and especially towards then, I'm sure it gets very intense, as I've seen with some friends, that, you know, babies just, it's a lot to receive. It's a lot of energy that's being built, and you're not knowing what the birth will be like. And that, again, can also bring up so many different things. And, you know, whether your twin is, you know, natural twin or IVF, again, your connection is your connection, and it's beautiful, and it's loving, and it's pure. And I feel like it's important to build connection any different way. And I do feel like we can create an open space for possibility, for allowing where baby's energy, you know, where it is and what it would feel like and what's involved next on that journey towards your conception, your twin conception curiosities, or your pregnancy of twins. And, you know, go on and see what more amazing explorations could come from this twinergy, from this possibility, and from your spiritual awareness of Spirit Baby. Well, thank you for joining episode 66, An Invitation of Twins, Siblings Being Born Together. If you like my podcast, please subscribe and leave reviews. Thank you for joining Spirit Baby Radio Podcast this week, and please check out my newest book, Sacred Communication, A Spirit Baby Journal. Learn more about my services and supporting people all around the world in private one-on-one sessions, online classes, programs, and private VIP retreats.
This is Spirit Baby Radio. Thank you for joining Kelly in the energy of awareness, love, healing, and soul communication. Please join the next episode at www.soulbabycommunication.com.